Star Wars.
What's up, guys? We're back, and I'm pleased to be here for one demo today to show you a game I'm very excited about, Homefront: The Revolution. I'm here with Faz Salim from Crytek.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
No worries.
I'm very excited about the sequel to Homefront. I really love the original Homefront, at least in terms of its story and atmosphere and what it was trying to do. It didn't all work out, of course, but I'm glad that a studio like Crytek is taking this this IP over, and so we're going to see like a 10-minute demo today and kind of show it off a little bit.
That's exactly what we're showing. So Homefront: The Revolution is picking up 4 years after the first Homefront. Obviously the first Homefront, it was 2025 and the KPA just invaded America. This is 4 years into that, so we're now in 2029. It's a mature occupation. The KPA ruling with an iron fist. And they've set up their capital in Philadelphia, which is a significant statement of intent because of all of the historical significance of Philadelphia, and it's the birthplace of US independence, as you know. So we thought this was a really, really interesting place for us to base Homefront: The Revolution.
Awesome. So, are there any characters, or is there any ode at all to what happened in the original Homefront? Last we saw Homefront, they were on the Golden Gate Bridge, I believe, and things were going down. We lost a main character. Is there anyone from that game in this, or did you guys kind of start fresh?
Yeah, so we've taken that premise. This is that universe, but we've basically starting afresh with new characters and stuff. We're still tipping our hat to what they did in the first game, but this is going to be a new Crytek experience. So we're just putting our stamp on it for this one.
Okay, so what does that mean when you say you're going to put your stamp on it? Does it mean, when I think of Crytek, I think of Crisis, I think of open world, I think of exploration and non-linearity.
Sure, yeah.
Is that what we're going to find in Homefront?
So that's definitely one of the things we wanted to do. We looked at player feedback from the first game. We know that one of the criticisms was just how linear that game was. So we wanted to break free of that. We wanted to give the player the freedom, come back to the heritage and the DNA that Crytek is known for. The games like Far Cry and Crysis, where we give the player a scenario, drop them into a free roam sandbox world, where they're free to basically approach any situation how they want to, from any angle, not restricting them to a specific way. So there isn't a right or wrong way, it's just the player's way of approaching everything.
Awesome, so here we are, we're seeing something, this is actually somewhat reminiscent, I think, of the way the original Homefront started, where it's something very chaotic, it's something that got it to you emotionally. What are we witnessing here?
So this is Philadelphia, a yellow zone. In the fiction, we've got these ghettos that the KPA have set up, and these ghettos are where they're trying to push the population into, so it's easier for them to manage and control. So right now we're inside one of the yellow zones, and we've just been called out to a mission, a guerrilla mission, against the KPA at a police station. So we've got a smartphone, that's what we're using quite a bit to scope out areas. Like I mentioned, we have that sandbox field where we want the player to scope out a situation before they go into it, see what is available to them, what kind of options are available to them, and approach it from whichever angle they want to. So that's exactly what's going on here. We've just found out that there's a resistance stash in the area, and resistance stashes are things that the resistance have placed weapons and handy equipment hidden away in certain locations, and we've got these stashes hidden away for the player to go and find in the environment. So we really want to encourage them to explore the world that we've set up in Philadelphia, using these hobo symbols that you can see on the walls. And yeah, just explore the world, scavenge materials, because you don't have the same equipment as the KPA do. So as a guerrilla fighter, you need to use whatever is available to you, the resources that the world offers, and then craft your equipment using what you find.
Awesome. So I guess what I'm curious about is, in the original Homefront, we kind of saw a variety of locations, the survivalist farm, or San Francisco, and then here we're in Philadelphia. So is there a lot of diversity in the parts of Philadelphia that we're going to see, or does it primarily take place in these ghettos?
No, so well, the ghettos are one section of Philadelphia. Philadelphia that we've built for this game is an expansive world. There's a lot to it. From a fictional point of view, the KPA have set up different zones within Philadelphia. So this is a yellow zone, which is the ghetto, as I mentioned. There's several of these. Each of them has its own feel, its own atmosphere, its own personality. And then apart from the yellow zones, we've got red zones, which are kind of like the bombed out row houses. It's kind of the neglected space, which the KPA don't really want to get involved in too much, but they do have a presence there. That's a very expansive space. It's very different to the yellow zones. And then we've got the green zones, which are basically the iconic landmarks, the places that people are familiar with in Philadelphia. This is where the KPA have set up their headquarters, their residential areas, all of their opulent offices. So these are three distinct zones within Philadelphia, each with its own style and its own art style, its own personality. So each of these areas will be open to the players to explore as they go through the story. And they're free to jump in between each of these zones whenever they want. So there's a lot to explore. There's a lot of cool spaces within Philadelphia. So there's a lot of freedom for the player to go about doing their business.
When you're jumping between these different zones, is there, can we assume that there's like a main, obviously a main narrative, a campaign, but then side quests or kind of optional things that you can do along the way?
Yeah, so we've got story missions, which basically drive the story forward, and this is basically the backbone of the game. And then we've got this free roam Philadelphia world built around it. So the player is free to go about, explore the world, do side quests, do whatever they find in the world. There's plenty of content for them to explore and enjoy. We're not forcing them to go down the story route at any point. It's up to them when they want to involve themselves in the story missions. It's up to them when they want to involve themselves in the side missions. We've just given them a free roam Philadelphia to explore and interact with however they choose to.
And can you talk a little bit about where we see that the character here is scavenging, is picking up parts?
Yeah, so absolutely. This is one of the ammo stashes that we've discovered, and we've just got a whole bunch of cool stuff, explosives we found in an RC car, and we're just looking through our quest tracker at the moment. And this is telling us, okay, so the mission that we're going to is just around the corner now. So we've got the equipment that we need, and we are now going to head into the mission that we were called out for. So this is an example of just one way of approaching this scenario. So as we jump over this, we're going to have the police station right in front of us. And our mission is to breach the police station, as you can see. We've got a couple of co-op buddies right there. This is obviously to give an example of the co-op that we're going to have in the game. So we've announced 4-player co-op for Homefront: The Revolution, and this is an example of what you can do in that game. So we've got two of our buddies scoping out the place. One of them just set off an explosive around the corner, so that's kind of drawn the KPA away from our target area. And now we are just sussing out who and what we can do to get into this zone. We need to get to that door. So there's quite a bit of KPA presence.
So with this camera you're using, when you're identifying the different cameras, different enemies, will these now appear on a HUD or on your map so you can track them?
Yeah, so we've just tagged a few of them, so they're on the mini map now, and we're just heading forward now into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to utilize some of the stuff that we found in the ammo stash that we just went through. One of those things is an RC car, which is right here. And again, this is just one way of doing it. There's no right or wrong way. There's always the player's way. But this is just an example of one way. We're utilizing the RC car. We've just created an IED using some of the stuff we found. We're going to combine that with the RC car, and we're going to utilize what the RC car. And yeah, we're going to now try and approach the police station and set off an explosive without really being detected. So that's one of the things that we really wanted to push for. Now, the RC car is a really handy tool to go in, scope out areas without being detected, or you could use it in an attacking way, such as attaching an IED to it and trying to get in and cause some damage. So obviously you need to be careful about the RC car. We're using cover here. A vehicle that was in the area is just coming through, so we're just going to use that to our advantage and drive through without being detected and hopefully get the explosive in position.
So if you wanted to on this, you could come in more guns blazing if you wanted to?
Absolutely, if you wanted to. Here we go. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's probably not the smartest thing to do because, as I mentioned, the KPA have a lot more firepower than the Resistance do.
So you gotta be a little more clever.
Yeah, so you need to be clever because they will respond. They will respond heavily. So some of the things that we wanted to push for was we wanted the gunplay to feel like you're a Resistance fighter. So when you're behind cover, you can shoot over the top of it blindly to make sure that you're just hitting the target somehow. We've got Molotov that we're going to use right now. That's a KPA heavy that's heavily padded, so it's very difficult to take him out. If you've got Molotov, you can combine that with your bullets, take him out. So yeah, we've just managed to free the prisoners that we came here for. They're legging it, and that was one of the things that we're trying to focus on as well. As a Resistance fighter, the idea is guerrilla warfare is not about tackling an enemy that's bigger than you head on. You've got to hit them when they least expect it, in ways that they don't expect, and then try to get out before they can respond in full force. That's the essence of guerrilla warfare, basically. And that's what we're pushing for. We want to be able to hit the enemy when they least expect it, and then get out, melt back into the population. So that's what we're doing. We managed to freeze the guys that we came here for, and now we're just getting out of that situation before it heats up too much.
And is the idea, I guess, ultimately for the player to kind of liberate Philadelphia, or at least begin a more vibrant revolution in that area?
Yeah, so the idea is that we're trying to ignite a revolution in this highly oppressive Philadelphia. So everything that you do as a player in this world will influence the uprising. So as I said, we've got districts all over Philadelphia, and this is an example of another one. So we just come out into the red zone, which is one of the more bombed out areas. You'll see a lot of destroyed row houses and stuff. And the idea is that whatever you do in this world, it lets the player ignite the revolution. They're contributing to uprising. So the more uprising they do, whether that's destroying a camera with a brick, whether that's taking out a high-ranking KPA official, it all affects the world around them, and it all affects the inhabitants of this world. They will respond to the things that you're doing in this world. So the more things that you do, they will get out and they'll be like, okay, fine, we have an opportunity to start a revolution here. So you'll see the game from the first hour of playing it to maybe the 9th, 10th, 11th or so on hours into it will be completely different.
Awesome, and it sounds longer than the original Homefront, and that's going to get a lot of people excited.
We've got a lot of content in there, we've got a big world to explore. So I'm not going to nail down an exact number for you,
Understood.
but I will say that there's a lot of cool stuff for us to explore in this.
Cool, so when can we look forward to this game, and what platforms is it going to be available?
So we'll be releasing in 2015 on PC, Xbox One, PS4, Mac, and Linux.
Awesome, very excited. Thank you for coming to show us the game today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very, very excited about it. We're going to have much more today, so stay tuned. The Division is next.